Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am here today with a reading update. Miracle of Miracles. It has been forever since I attempted to do one of these, mainly because I haven't really been reading that much, unfortunately. I have been working a lot, a lot. Um, but I am on vacation over the next week, and perhaps I will do a video explaining where I've been over the past several months, because a lot of things have changed, and I don't know if I've talked to you guys about some of those changes. But anyway, I am going to give you a very quick update on what I have been reading, and unfortunately, I will only be talking about two books. Those are the two books that I just finished reading in the last week, and while there's only two books, I loved both of them for very different reasons, so at least I'm here to talk about good things instead of complaining about a book I didn't like. So, let's get to it, shall we? The first book I want to talk about is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. I am far too late to the party with this book, and I have to say that many people have recommended this book to me over the last few years, and I always wanted to read it, but I purposely didn't because I knew, much like The Fault in Our Stars, it was going to end up being one of those books that just completely tore me apart, and I guess I had to be in the right sort of headspace in order to read a book like this. The book centers around a young woman named Louisa who loses her job as a waitress, and because she is pretty much financially responsible for her entire family, including her parents and her older sister, she is desperate to find another job. So, although she has absolutely no experience, she ends up becoming the caregiver for a man who is a quadriplegic. He was in an accident 2 years prior, and Will Traynor is the man that Louisa is hired to look after. And Will is very closed off, he's very bitter, he's very sarcastic, and sort of shuts the world out. And Will's parents, specifically his mother, has hired Louisa to try and sort of be his companion and help him sort of try and adjust to the outside world. And throughout the book, the heart and soul of Me Before You is the relationship between Will and Louisa, and as she slowly gets to know him and slowly starts to bring him, for want of a better term, back to life. This book was heartbreaking. From the beginning, there were certain passages that just made me very emotional. I mean, I would just be sitting there enjoying the book because Jojo Moyes is an awesome author. She writes beautifully, she creates a world that feels very real, and characters you feel like you actually know. But I would just be sitting there and I would just come upon a phrase or a paragraph in the book and it would make me cry. And there were certain times during the book where it just almost literally physically hurt to actually keep reading the story. Having said that, I truly loved this book. It really is one of the best books that I've ever read in my entire life. Was it perfect? No, there were certain things that I wish that the author had done differently. There were certain times that I wish the characters had acted differently. But overall, I really couldn't imagine changing anything about the story because it was beautifully done, and it's definitely a book that I will never forget, and I loved it, and I gave it 6 big stars on Goodreads, although it only goes up to 5. I gave it an extra star. I reserve the extra star for books that I especially love, and this was definitely one of those. Speaking of books that I absolutely loved, the second book I want to talk about is Firelight by Kristen Callahan. Now, I debated for quite a while as to how much I should actually talk about the actual plot of this book, and I've decided that the less said about it, the better, because I think it would be a much more rewarding reading experience going into this book without knowing too much about the actual plot. The only thing I'm going to say about it is that I had a conversation with my friend last night about this book, and I told her that throughout reading this book, I felt like it had been written just for me, as if the author had somehow tunneled her way into my imagination and picked out a whole bunch of elements from books that I absolutely love and threw them all into one book and somehow made it work beautifully. This book The only thing I'm going to say really about it is that it is the first of the Darkest London series. There are 6 books out now in the series, and the 7th is coming out on the 28th of June. And it is an historical romance set in the 1800s in London, obviously. And it has elements of the paranormal. It has a really interesting mystery. It's very dark and twisty. It's got a very intense steampunk vibe, which I absolutely love. And best of all, it features my all-time favorite theme for a romance, which is the Beauty and the Beast theme. I am a sucker for a good Beauty and the Beast story, and I have to say this is probably the best one I have ever come across. It works so amazingly well, and not only did it have a Beauty and the Beast theme, but the main lead character, the main male lead character, reminds me so much of the Phantom of the Opera, which is another thing I absolutely love. So there was not one element of this book that did not work in my opinion. Everything worked so well. It was beautifully brought to life. She has this insane writing ability that just makes you feel like you're in the middle of the book right along with the characters. One of the key factors of knowing if I really liked a book is looking at my Kindle and seeing how much of the book I highlighted, and it almost felt like that the entire book was one long highlighted passage. Because I don't remember ever highlighting more things in a single book than I did with Firelight. It was just that amazing. Firelight is hands down the best book that I've read in the entire year so far, and I gave it 6 huge, enormous fangirly stars on Goodreads, and I can't recommend it enough. Anyway, that's it. Those are the 2 books that I've read recently. I just finished Firelight this afternoon, actually, and I'm sort of still cresting on the high of reading a really good book. So, as always, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot that you've been so patient and faithful to my channel. I love you guys so much. So I will talk with you soon, and show me some love, and as always, happy reading, guys!